today we're going to be covering some of my favorite stuff, which is obviously mixing, and I really want to go over getting the perfect mix for a specific beat. And what I mean by that is when you're creating a beat and you're going to mix it, or you're going to mix a song, really listening to it first and seeing what it needs and what you could do in the mix to further complement it and end up getting like the best mix out of it. So in today's video, we're going to talk about that. So as mentioned, we're going to be going over how to get the perfect mix for a beat. Now, what I mean by that is depending on the beat, right? When I'm listening to a beat that I just made and I'm about to mix it, I really think about like what the beat needs when it comes to the mixing part of it. And in this beat, it needs to be aggressive. So what I want to reach for is a lot of like saturation on the leads. I really want to have those drums hitting hard, the kick hitting extremely hard. So there's a lot of different ways we can go about doing this. But the main thing I want to do is have aggression to it and width. But let's say we were mixing like a different type of beat, right? And it was something that I might have made a few videos ago where I was playing like a nice little guitar lead and I had some smooth drums. I'd probably mix that a little bit different, have the leads a little bit more lush and warm sounding, right? And the drums a little bit more evened out and the bass tone just kind of smooth. So really what I do is I just listen to the beat and then I think, what does this mix actually need? And that's really what you're going to be doing with any mixes. But since we're talking about beat mixes and getting like the perfect beat mix for the beat, this is the one we're going to be working on. So this was actually the beat from the previous video that I dropped. If you guys watched that, you remember I had this melody one, right? It was actually a bounce of the melody with these plugins on it. So I have that muted and I actually have all of them right here instead of in a bounced form. So we can actually mix this whole thing. So let's go ahead and listen to it. It's all just roughly leveled with headroom, and then we're going to get into the mix. The first thing I want to mention is this synth and this bass is the reason that's kind of giving me the idea that I want a very aggressive mix. And then this bass. So just by hearing that, I know that I really want to have an aggressive mix with this, and I want to add more saturation to that and really highlight all those tones in it and just give it like that excitement it needs, right? And then have that kick hitting really hard. So the first thing we need to do is just level everything. I'm going to go ahead and throw my kick in mono. It already is, but it's just habit. I'm going to throw my 808 in mono as well. This bass has some stereo information, so I'm actually going to keep that how it is since we're going to take the low end out of that anyways. I'm going to throw the whole mix in mono. I have Q10, which is just cutting out everything below 20 hertz, and then a soft clipper for the video so that we don't actually clip. But anyways, let's get into this. So let's go ahead and mute this one. Let me just actually turn this down and let's get a nice level going with this. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually take all these down a little bit. Bring up the kick. Do a little bit of panning. All right, and now what we're gonna do is start to carve out some space, right? So like I said, right off the bat, this bass and this 808 are gonna fight. This is just supposed to be an accent. So what I'm gonna actually do right away is go ahead and just take out some of this low end. So I'm gonna come over here and I'm gonna do a low cut on this. And then I'm going to throw a decapitator on it to really give it like a lot of aggression, right? This is the first form of saturation that we're going to do. So let's go ahead and play everything together and blend it in. I like style P. So we're going to actually stay with style P. Let me just back this off just a tiny bit. And now we can go ahead and listen to that with the 808. Before. Clashing. After. Could actually take out a little bit more. I'm going to come into decapitator on the high cut, take out a little bit. Cool, so that sounded good. Now let's go over to the keys, and I'm gonna take out a little bit of low end on the keys as well because they do have a lot. And for this, I'm actually just gonna end up doing probably a low shelf. I don't wanna do a low cut. I usually use low shelf, low cuts. It depends on the source. Honestly, whatever I reach for at first. So let's just do a low shelf. Back this off just a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and solo these so we can hear them all. I'm gonna do a low shelf on this as well. But I don't want to take everything out because it's not clashing too much. All right, and another thing you can do is actually take a high cut, and we can go over here and filter a lot of this out and really just hone in and listen to the low end of the mix. So let's try that. And by doing this, you can really just hear what's going on in the low end, and you can kind of A/B it, turn things on and off, processing on and off, and really just listen to what's happening down there. So that's a cool trick to really hear a lot of the low end. So to continue on this, let's go ahead and play the mix. So I want to go ahead and get this piano and the synth right together. It's always good to mix with everything playing at once, but for the tutorial, so you can really know what I'm doing, I'm going to be soloing a few of these. So for this synth, I want to take out just a little bit of top end, and then I want to come over here and I want to add a decapitator on it. Or actually, I want to run this through Kramer tape. So let's try this. And then on the synth, I'm also going to add a little bit of S1 to it. So let's come over here and just widen it out a little bit. Take out a little bit of mid-range. And then this pluck, I'm actually going to add a nice reverb to it. So let's just get Reverb by Waves. Let's come over here, turn the reverb down a little bit like this. And let's change this. EQ a little bit. And then the last thing I'm going to put on this is I'm actually going to soften these up a little bit, nothing too crazy. So I'm going to come over here, get a transient shaper, and just take the attack down a little bit. And then we have this effect right here. And really all I want to add for this is like a quick reverb so that it could just ring out a little bit more. A lot of low end cut out, and we can keep some of the high end. Let's actually bring this up a little bit more. Cool, that's sounding good. Then we need to bring it down. Let's go back in mono. And then we have this 808, right? So on the 808, I really just want to add a little bit of like distortion to it. So I'm gonna just get the blood overdrive, and I'm gonna go ahead and really just crank this kind of hard. Bring the color over here, and let's go ahead and blend this in. And we're obviously getting it a lot louder, right? Let's see. Off. A little bit quieter. So let's come over here to the gain and bring it down. I'm actually going to bring the gain down a lot. So this should be pretty close. Cool. And now we just get it a little bit louder, a little bit more aggressive. So I'm going to take the drums up a little bit more. Let's see. And then we have this key right here. And this one sounds good. I'm gonna just widen it out. It already sounds nice. add a little bit more saturation to that bass. And then for the kick, I want to use G clip on it to actually get it to hit real hard. So let's come over here and let's turn the clip down. Let's see. So let me solo this so you can hear me talking. And what we're gonna do is take the clip down to about where it starts. We're gonna push the gain in now. And we're gonna make it a little bit softer. Let's try like 50 something. And now watch what this did. If we solo it with it off, watch where it peaks. With it on, same, but it's way louder, right? Let's hear it. And then on. And you can actually mess with the softness. So you could have it be a hard clip or a soft clip if you look at the knee right here, which will give you different tones. Way more aggressive. This one's a lot softer. So we're gonna go somewhere in between. I think we're at like 57. That was sounding really good. And now we can actually go ahead and listen to how this comes in so far. And actually, one thing I'm gonna do real quick is I'm gonna automate this to be turned off on the intro so it's not so aggressive on the intro, because alone it sounds a little bit crazy. That's another good thing to pay attention to is, you know, when things are like in the mix by themselves, you might need some automation because it doesn't sound good fully on by itself, but it helps when the whole rest of the mix is in there. So now we'll be able to hear what's going on. Intro, nice. And then when it comes in, it'll turn on. I want to get those pianos a little bit more like in your face as well. So let's go ahead and get J37 for this. And let's push those pianos in. I'm gonna go ahead and just have, let's see, saturation. Listen to them solo so you can hear what's going on. Turn it off. On. Just a little bit more. So there we go. Now let's hear it. Let's get a little bit more blood overdrive on this 808 and then turn this down a little bit here. Now we can kind of hear what we got so far, and you see it matches the beat a lot better. It just sounds very aggressive. It just complements the beat. So it's really good to just pay attention to kind of what the beat or song, the mix in general is really just like asking for. Just listen to it and what does it make it feel. If it's aggressive, maybe you want to add some saturation, distortions. If it's a bit smoother, maybe you want to roll off a little bit of top end and use a lot of big reverb ambiances. So it really just depends. The last thing I want to note on is you see that the clap and the hi-hat are left alone. They were just good sounding samples. I didn't feel like I needed to do much to them except really level them, and that does happen a lot. The kick as well, but G-Clip just really added a bit of grit, made it louder, staying at the same true peak, which is good so that we get the same reading, right? But it's a lot louder, so that's always good to do. But some sounds just don't need processing. They just need to be level, but it really just depends. You got to use your ear and see what you like. All right, as always, thank you guys so much for watching. If you did like this video, leave a thumbs up. You can follow me on all social medias at Lifestyle Did It. Make sure to hit my site, lifestyledidit.com, for everything else. Other than that, subscribe to your boy, push notifications. Thanks.